Serious people who have slept with their boss for a promotion/raise. Was it worth it?
Like and subscribe, or else these'll be in your bed tonight.
When I was 18 I was part-time running food at a really high-end Italian restaurant. After shifts ended everyone went to the bar next door and got tipsy every night. One of the managers was a 24-year-old blonde that I really had a thing for. After a night at the bar we were loaded and she said I could crash at her place. So I went, and one thing led to another. We boinked and I took a cab home. The next weekend, when I had shifts the managers called me in because they fired the bartender and because I'm very hardworking that I'm going to fill his position. Maybe not an office promotion story, but I was making a couple hundred more a night bartending than bussing. TL. Dr. I boinked a manager and started making more at my part-time job. Edit. For everyone losing their marbles, because I wasn't 21. I live in Canada so 18 is the legal drinking age. The tips were amazing. On a good night I could clear a couple hundred because I only worked there Fridays and Saturdays. When I was in high school I worked at a pretty large movie theater in my area. It was a lot like a restaurant in the sense that everyone is flipping everyone and partying most nights together. We had a very cute manager who was probably about 30ish and pretty strict on most of the guys who worked there, mainly because we were little high school shootheads that thought we were the cat's pajamas. Anyway, I hooked up with her after a party and it was great. We became friends with benefits, and since she was in charge of the time clock she would often clock me in a couple hours early on slow days before I showed up, so I was getting paid full-time 40-hour weeks while only working about 20 hours. She would also have me stay late to clean up after late shows, and we would freak in the regional manager's office since it was the only one without cameras, and because the regional manager was a fear-mongering bleach. When I was just 18 I had just come out of high school and I desperately needed a job. I was able to get a job that pays $12 an hour at some guy's small business. The catch is I had to bleep with him. That money was great, but it was really awkward whenever I saw him. I needed the money though, so I would do it again. Edit. I only had to sleep with him once. How does a conversation like this go about? Was it implied, or is the deal actually discussed? I worked there for about a week when he confronted me. He said that if I slept with him, I would get a $4 raise. I'm not proud of it, but I would do it again. If you're single right now and you make $50,000 a year, would you bleep with your boss if you get a raise to $75,000 a year? Not a boss, but one of my professors at my university. She was in her late 30s 40 and I was 21 to 22. It was her first year at the school and was having a rough time meeting people. She was having car troubles, so I offered to help her out while I was visiting during her office hours. She offered to feed me dinner and I was more than happy. We started drinking and ended up in bed. We had a casual relationship for most of the year until I unfortunately had to move after graduating. When finals came around, she told me not to worry about the final 15-page research paper. Hell yeah. But to be completely fair, I was a really good student with a solid A in her class before we started hooking up. As a fellow good student, I love this story the most. Slept with my boss. She wasn't hot, but cute and I had never been with a curvy girl before. We left a company award ceremony and had a long drive back to our branch 2.5 hours. Well, long story short, she ended up giving me a down below massage and we pulled over to freak. It was fun, and we continued our relationship for about 6 months. It ended when she was promoted to regional manager because she was always traveling to different branches. Never got a raise nor a new position. I got to brag to my buddies though. You could have been promoted to assistant to the regional manager, at least. Was doing a work experience program back in high school when I was about 17. Working at a golf course owned by a cute Asian lady. She spoke perfect English, was in her early 30s, and owned the entire golf course, including also homes that were built around it. For the remainder of the program, I was basically paid to clean up the golf course every once in a while, take her awesome Hummer out to get it clean / pick up coffee, donuts, whatever, then come back and bone her for the remainder of the day. She lived in a suite above the public lodge. I still work there in the summers and enjoy most the same benefits. I'm 25. If this is true, this is a dream. If this is a dream, it's still a dream. Late to the party on this one, but I definitely think it was worth it. Fresh out of college, my boss was only a few years older than I was. She promoted me before anything happened, so that we would be working in closer proximity and would be attending work functions and conferences together. The subsequent year and a half, before she moved on to a different opportunity, was possibly the best of my working career, and this was almost 10 years ago. We were both unmarried, not necessarily always single, but no one got hurt until the end. She developed feelings and needed to move on. Up until then it was unreal. Shreks on the desk while working late, fancy hotel rooms in nice cities for conferences, handy J's on the plane under the blanket, you know, true love. I was 22, part-time working my first non-food industry job, and my direct boss was 45. She was from California and had the cool laid-back hippie vibe, and we got along really well. She made it clear that a fast-track option to getting moved to full-time existed, with the path running straight through her bedroom on weekends when her husband was traveling. My best friend and roommate, separate rooms, in college slept with her boss. She worked as a receptionist at a law firm. He was a freaking creep. She was 18. He was in his 40s. He wasn't cute or nice. He moaned like a girl, and it was disgusting to hear. I always lectured her about it, but she did get a lot of perks. For example, he would pay for everything, including giving her $100 bills nearly every time they met up. He would buy her lunch every day at work. It was pretty much a sugar daddy situation. Long story short, one day he came to the apartment and started banging on the door, yelling. She wasn't home, and I did not answer it. He found her on a dating website, a sugar daddy one, and became scary. Fortunately he left that time, but we ended up calling the police because he was threatening her. He went to jail for some crap and I moved out shortly after that. We are still good friends though. When I was 18 I had a great job where I could make about $200 a day for a few days each month, like 2 weekends a month, and this was back when $800 a month was huge money for a kid. Loved that job. One day my boss approached me and suggested that I could move up in the ranks if I had Shreks with him. Yeah, I'm a guy but not gay. Told him no way, sorry, not interested in the hire me stuff. He fired me on the spot. Being 18, I just took it as that was the way the world worked. Using a throwaway for the obvious reasons. It was totally worth it. I went into the job as an underqualified walk-on making minimum wage, and now I'm making over $50,000 a year. It really wasn't as easy as you'd think, and I did plenty of things I regret. I didn't just sleep with the boss, I also slept with potential clients and others on his request to secure accounts and enhance business relations. Some of them have some really weird preferences, but I always did my best to accommodate them. One of the clients is actually trying to steal me away from my current boss, and I think I might take up her offer. Not for the pay, it's not much better, but because I like the job more. I slept with a camp director and she gave me a good job as a camp counselor. I had a higher salary than all the other counselors. Would do it again in a second. Edit, this is a day camp. I'm not sure this counts, though, because the iron law of summer camp is that everyone on staff is boinking everyone, all the time. Hell, the 16-year-old me got to third base at camp, and if you'd known me then, you'd understand how big a statement that is. My first job was at a mall food court. Holy hell, everyone was freaking each other. It was a big corporation that runs mall/airport/truck stop food courts around the country, so it was 12 fast food places and 3 restaurants all under the same management/employment, so people would be moved to different units frequently. It was just a series of hookup dramas every day. This creepy back cook, he had the zoot suit frame, banged all of the chicks over 250 pounds, and one day his current GF was crying because someone told her he was only with her because he's a chubby chaser. It's a reality relationship. Stop saying he only likes fat chicks. It was like a circle of people you hung out with that you didn't want any of your other circles to know about. The entire crew would go bowling one night, then next month we'd all go to a rave and get flipped up after the mall closed. Then the month after that we had a zoo day. That place was in a key in Shrek. You should try it out. I was ridiculously awkward and still managed to get 2 girlfriends there. They pretty much initiated the entire sequence of events with me just meekly replying to everything they said. I was the boss sleeping with my employee. She was a very mediocre employee to begin with, raging alcoholic, would come to work looking like hell with black eyes and wet hair, never on time. After we started sleeping together, I think she developed the attitude that she had to start performing better at work or it would be obvious there was something going on when she didn't get fired. Within a few weeks she's a model employee, probably far better than even I was. She received several small lateral promotions within a few months, one I was involved in and one I was not. We ended up dating for over a year while I was still her boss before we both left the business. We both started looking for other employment because of our relationship and found better jobs with better pay. A few years later we are still together and now living together and engaged. I slept with my boss. We were all out having drinks and were sharing a cab. She told the cab driver to just drop both of us off at her place and I gladly went with it. I transferred to another department shortly thereafter because we both agreed it was weird now. Unbeknownst to me, I was giving a raise and a new title when I transferred. I always thought of it as a reward for being discreet. I had shrieks with her because she was a hot older woman. The raise I got later was unexpected. It seems to me like the men that sleep with their bosses have far more positive experiences than the women.